Hello everybody, welcome back to the Panel by Panel Comics channel with your host Jay. It is a new week, so it's time for my top 10 comic books coming out for the week of March 25th, 2026. I can't believe we're almost through the month of March. It felt like yesterday was literally New Year's, but we're already almost through March. So a couple of notable books coming out for this week that didn't make my top 10, but are definitely some notable comics are Dungeons of Doom, issue number 3, JLU, Justice League Unlimited, issue number 17, Green Lantern, issue number 33, but the 600th issue of the whole entire Green Lantern legacy. We also have Feral, issue number 21, a new story arc for the Cats over at Image Comics. And now we start the top 10 with number 10, the DC Marvel Spider-Man Superman event. This is going to be a 72-page comic for $8. I'm interested in it. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it too much because it's very similar to what they did with the previous DC Marvel crossover with Deadpool and Batman, but this is like the two biggest characters for both brands. Of course, Superman is one of the best. He's probably the second right below Batman, but I think you could definitely make the argument that Spider-Man is the biggest sole entity at Marvel. I don't think there's really a question mark there. I'm interested in the stories coming out of this event. Not looking forward to the entire thing. It comes down so low because it's just this one-off event and it's not like a whole crossover event. I would have preferred that. At number 8, I have Wolverine, Weapons of Armageddon. We are continuing this Armageddon build-up to the summer. Now, this is part of that lead-in to the summer's event, and this follows Wolverine and the dark secrets that have kind of been linking him and the Relentless Nuke, who we saw in the previous issue. The mysterious Dave Colton surface, that will be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to it. Chip Zdarsky, the first issue was solid enough to get me to buy a second issue. I'm hoping that it's good because I want to read this Armageddon event, and it's 32 pages for $6. That is the price for this comic book. I'm looking forward to it, and that's why it kind of comes down at the bottom because I don't know what the story quite is yet, but I'm sure it's probably going to be a lot of like Weapons X, hence why it's called Weapons of Armageddon. But we'll see how that goes. Number 7, we have The Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 25. This is part 5 of 9 of the Death Spiral event. This is 32 pages for the price of $5. And I'm kind of surprised we're getting Spider-Man back-to-back weeks. I'm not frustrated about it because I've been enjoying the hell out of this run. The previous issue was a little bit slower. I want to see some more action. We didn't see a whole lot in the previous issue. Looking forward to it, though. I think this will be very solid. The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 25 coming in at number 7 on my top 10. We'll see how that goes. We have number 6, Void Rivals. This is actually number 7. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Void Rivals issue number 28. This is part 4 of 6 of the Quintessence War. This builds up from what we saw previous with the two characters, Derek and Salila, getting inside of the Earth or whatever their planet is. I kind of forgot. It's been a while, but we're going to be seeing, it's titled The Quintessence War Continues, Tremble Before the Awesome Might of the Quintessence Tribunal. No ordinary judge can preside over matters of war. So we're going to be seeing basically their version of the Living Tribunal. This will be really interesting. I'm looking forward to it. And this is also, fun fact, the 100th issue of the Energon universe. If you combine them all, this is issue 100. I'm kind of surprised that we're already at this point. Fun fact, that's really cool. I mean, the 100th issue of the Energon universe. Looking forward to it. Hopefully, this continues being a great event from Robert Kirkman. Next, at number 6, just one away from being in my top 5, we have Fantastic Four. This is issue number 9, a 32-page comic for the price of $4. This is building off of the Invincible Woman, I guess, the origin of the character. We saw that in the previous issue, and it was sad, creepy, a little just daunting, and you were really feeling for the character, and then at the very end you're like, this woman is absolutely insane. We need to get her in a mental health asylum or whatever and just try to figure her out because she is so terrifying. And it's titled Galactus Faces the Malice of the Invincible Woman. I think it's so interesting that Galactus is so terrified of this Susan Storm from a different universe or from a different timeline. And he's like, I need the Fantastic Four's help in order to beat her. I'm looking forward to it and seeing if there's going to be an emotional connection between this Invincible woman and potentially Reed Richards of the current MCU timeline. I'm very intrigued if that's going to happen, or if we're going to see Susan and Susan both connect. I'm going to be interested. Are they going to try to just beat her to death? Not to death, but like beat her down, or are they going to try to humanize her and try to get her that connection back to people? But I don't think that would work, because she made Johnny take out all the emotions of her intellect, of her brain, and she doesn't feel anything anymore. That's why she just kills everybody, and she's like, okay, just going about my day because I don't care. I'm really interested to see how they're going to eventually defeat the Invincible Woman. But it's at number 6. At number 5, we have Iron Man. This is issue number 3, a 32-page comic for the price of $4. At the end of the last issue, we saw Iron Man go over to Madripoor as he was tracking down MODOK, and he got into, I don't really know how to describe it. It was like a hot tub with a whole bunch of people around. MODOK was getting fed grapes, and then AIM came in and it bombarded the place, and they're like, MODOK's like, no, they're not here for you. They're here for me. They're trying to get me. And it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to how that's going to work. Also, it's titled Iron Man versus MODOK and Date Night, because if you remember in the previous issue, one of the women in this new series, I don't know if she's a main character from before, but I know that Luna Lucia was the character that asked Iron Man out, or Tony, on a date. I'm really intrigued to see how that's going to go. Will there be a new love life in Tony Stark's life? We're also still going to see Madame Mask. This is a really good start from Joshua Williamson. These first 2 were really good. Can he have the first 3 be really good? I have a lot of faith in Joshua. I think Williamson is going to do great. Now, moving to number 4, we have a new jumping on point for the title of Superman over at DC. It is titled Superboy Prime Time Starts Here. 32 pages for $5. Joshua Williamson back-to-back on my list for my top 10. This is titled The Reign of the Superboys Begins. So Superman, nobody knows where he's at right now. Since the DCKO event ended, he has kind of just been gone. Nobody knows where he's at right now. Of course, that will probably be revealed in probably a couple months from now, if I was to guess. But Superman 36, it's after the shocking events of DCKO. Superman is missing, but one superhero steps up to take his place, and it's Superboy Prime. We know that Prime has only been a part of a massive DC event, no matter what it was. He's been a part of a lot of big ones. But now he gets a real shot at showing the world how he can be just as great a hero as Superman. I'm looking forward to it. Dan Mora, the art's going to be great. Joshua Williamson, I'm sure, is going to do a great job with Superboy Prime. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really intrigued because the character reminds me a whole lot about what if Deadpool was genuinely a god. That's kind of how Superboy Prime makes me feel. I'm looking forward to it. A really good issue so far, or a really good series for Superman up to this point with Joshua Williamson. I'm intrigued to see how this reign of the Superboys begins. Next, into my top 3, we have The Punisher. This is issue number 2. Jigsaw is back, and this is Frank Castle's most notorious foe. I mean, people obviously know Punisher from the previous show for Marvel, and then also the Kingpin's up there with one of his most notable enemies. But this is a new series from Benjamin Percy. The first issue is very solid. It got me interested in this second one. I want to see what Frank Castle is going to act like. Will there be character growth, or will it just be an action bonanza party? And I'm cool with that because it's the Punisher. You want to see death, you want to see blood, you want to see some gruesome stuff going on in this comic. But I kind of want to see the character of Frank Castle grow, and I'm sure Benjamin Percy is going to do a great job with that. Punisher, one of my favorite characters, and of course he's going to be in the Spider-Man Brand New Day movie. Love that. He looks really good through the first 10 seconds that we saw him, already trying to get a F word in, but Spider-Man kind of shut him up. We'll see how the comic translates. I'm looking forward to it. Punisher issue number 2 comes in at my number 3. Coming into my number 2, we have 2 absolute titles. I'll be honest with you. These last 2 were pretty easy for me. This is Absolute Wonder Woman, issue number 18, Diana versus Zatanna. We saw in the previous issue, Zatanna kind of let herself get free after using Diana's magic to pull the parasite out of her that was keeping her attached to the evil company that she was kind of being a slave or a worker for without pay. So I don't really know how else to describe it other than that. Now we'll see how this works. It's the Witch of the Wild Isle versus Zatanna Zatara, the Mistress of Magic. Kelly Thompson, great job so far. Hayden Sherman on the artwork is always going to be great. The paneling is always going to be great. One of the best series currently ongoing for any publisher, in my opinion. Absolute Wonder Woman coming in at my number 2. 32 pages for $5 for that comic book, as well as my number 1 comic book. We have Absolute Martian Manhunter, issue number 10, The Truth of the Green Martian. We saw in the previous issue, John is absolutely losing his mind with that so insane character. I can't quite remember his name right now. Let me just double check. It's called Despair the Zero. Insane character. One of the most terrible, no good things in the whole DC universe. He's just so antagonizing. He is the real life version of rage baiting, or I mean, yeah, that's how I would describe it. The real life version of rage baiting, because he made John Jones want to damn near KMS or just unalive himself. And it was so, you really did feel for John, because you're like, I would be in the same boat. He's making me feel terrible just reading the comic. And Denise Camp, just such a great writer right now. I know his Ultimate Universe stuff isn't going good. Just don't read that. That's not Denise Camp. That's Marvel telling him what to write. This is Denise Camp. Absolute Martian Manhunter has been a great story. If you want to read his other stuff, go read Bleeding Hearts. That was my top pick just a week ago. Such a great series there. Assorted Crisis Events. That's Denise Camp. This is Denise Camp, one of the best writers going right now. And to pair that up with Javi Rodriguez, one of the best artists going right now. My number 3 comic artist, Javier Rodriguez. Jorge Corona and Dan Mora, I think, are slightly better than him. But the way that this comic is just so different compared to everything else makes me enjoy it more. It makes me feel anticipated for it more, because I'm like, what crazy stuff are they going to give us in this issue? That's why Absolute Martian Manhunter comes in at my number 1 on this week's top 10. But guys, let me know down in the comments what book you are looking forward to the most. And please like and subscribe. We're almost at 20 subscribers at the time of recording this. Please hit that subscribe button so that we can get over to 20 subscribers and then eventually to 30 and so on and so forth. But guys, thank you so much for listening. Keep flipping those comics and reading them panel by panel. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.